You ever feel like you're constantly surrounded by noise, by people, by distractions, yet you still feel like something's missing? Let me tell you something, the strength you're looking for. It doesn't come from anyone else. It comes from within. You're not weaker alone. You're stronger. Don't let the world convince you otherwise. Sometimes it takes being alone to find out who you truly are. The truth is, the world has a way of trying to pull you into its chaos, but your greatest strength is found in your solitude. In solitude, you discover your own voice, you learn to listen to your heart. When you're alone, you don't have to answer to anyone. There's no one to judge you, no one to tell you that you're not enough. When you're alone, you're forced to confront yourself, to face your fears, your flaws, and your potential. Alone is where you build your foundation, and it's the strongest one you'll ever stand on. So don't be afraid of being alone. It's not a punishment, it's a privilege. In that silence, in that stillness is where your power lies. Embrace it, use it, and let it push you to heights you never thought possible. You ever feel like the world is constantly pulling you in 100 different directions? People telling you who to be, what to do, how to act. But here's the thing, none of that matters. The power you need, the strength you're looking for, it doesn't come from anyone else. It doesn't come from the crowd, from the applause, or from the approval of others. It comes from within. It comes when you're by yourself, when there's no one else around to tell you what to think, how to feel, or where to go. We live in a society that tells you to always be with people, to surround yourself with noise, to fill every minute of the day with distractions. But there's a strength in being alone that most people overlook. Alone doesn't mean weak. It means you're not dependent on anyone to validate you. Alone, you get the chance to discover your own voice, to hear your own thoughts without anyone else's input. Alone, you get to look yourself in the mirror and decide who you want to become. There's no one around to distract you, to hold you back, to tell you your dreams are impossible. It's just you. And that's where your real power is born. When you're alone, you don't have to put on a show. There's no act to perform. You can be raw, real, and unfiltered. In the quiet of your own space, you find the courage to face your own fears. You see your flaws, your scars, and you make the decision to overcome them, to grow past them. That's strength. That's the kind of strength that doesn't come from anyone's applause. It comes from doing the work in the silence, when no one's watching. People get afraid of being alone because they think it means they're missing out. But let me tell you, the greatest growth happens when you're alone. You build yourself up when there's no one else to rely on but you. You tap into a level of resilience, grit, and focus that you can't access when you're constantly leaning on others. Being alone is the moment you face your inner battles and win. The real test of strength isn't how you perform when everyone's cheering for you. It's how you show up when it's just you against the world. It's in the quiet. It's in the stillness. It's in those moments when you're alone and you don't have anyone else to lean on but yourself. That's when you find out what you're really made of. And when you do, you'll realize that the strength you were searching for was in you all along. You ever feel like the world is always screaming at you? Social media, work, family, friends, everything is pulling at you from every direction, telling you what you should do, how you should act, what you should feel. It's exhausting. You get caught in the noise, in the chaos, and after a while, you don't even know what you really want anymore. But here's the truth, clarity doesn't come from the noise. It comes from the silence. In the quiet, you hear your own thoughts. You hear your own voice. Without distractions, without the pressure of everyone else's opinions, you're left with one thing, you. And that's when things start to make sense. The world has a way of clouding your vision, filling your mind with doubt, confusion, and fear. People will tell you what's possible, what's not possible, what you can achieve, and what you can't. But when you take the time to be still, when you step back from all the chaos, you start to hear the truth that's always been inside you. That's the kind of clarity that changes everything. You can't think clearly when you're surrounded by noise. You can't make good decisions when you're overwhelmed by the opinions of others. The answers you're looking for are buried deep inside of you, but you've got to quiet the world long enough to hear them. It's in the silence that you get to clear your mind, sort through your thoughts, and find your direction. It's in that stillness that you get the strength to see things for what they really are, not through the lens of fear or confusion, but through your own truth. That's why it's important to take time for yourself, to step away from everything and just breathe. Clarity isn't something you find by running faster or working harder. It's something you discover by slowing down, by listening to your heart, and by giving yourself space to think without distraction. The noise will always be there trying to pull you in every direction. But when you learn how to find peace in the silence, that's when you unlock your true potential. That's when the fog lifts and the path ahead becomes clear. You begin to see things differently, and in that moment you'll realize that the answers you've been seeking were always within you, waiting for you to be still enough to listen. You're not going to find out who you really are by staying in the crowd. You're not going to uncover your true potential by doing what everyone else is doing, by living life based on other people's standards, or by letting others define who you are. No, you find yourself when you're alone. People are afraid of solitude. They fear being alone because it forces them to face what's inside, the good, the bad, the fears, the flaws. But let me tell you something. It's only in that alone time, in that space where it's just you, that you can finally see yourself clearly. You can't hide behind other people's expectations. You can't pretend anymore. It's just you, stripped of all the noise, all the distractions, and all the labels the world put on you. That's where the real work begins. See, most people never take the time to sit with themselves. They're always seeking validation, always looking for someone else to tell them what to do, who to be. But that's not how you discover your purpose. That's not how you figure out what you're truly capable of. It happens when you're alone, when you have no choice but to look inward and face the truth about who you really are, not who you pretend to be, not who you want others to think you are, but the real you, the one you can't escape. You're not going to find your purpose in the noise. You're not going to find your strength by following someone else's blueprint. When you're alone, you finally have the space to figure out what you want, what you're afraid of, and what you're truly capable of. You find the courage to dig deep, to ask yourself the tough questions and to answer them honestly. There's no one to impress, no one to judge you. In that space, you discover what really matters to you, your dreams, your goals, your deepest desires. And once you see that, once you understand who you truly are, no one can ever take that away from you. Now, that doesn't mean it's easy. It's not. Discovering yourself means facing the parts of you that are uncomfortable, the parts of you that you've been avoiding. But that's where the growth is. That's where the magic happens. You become the person you're meant to be when you're brave enough to face yourself alone without all the distractions. So stop running from solitude. Stop fearing the quiet. Because it's in those moments of being alone, of being with just yourself, that you find the truth about who you really are, and who you are is someone capable of greatness. It's in the solitude that you'll finally uncover the real you, the one who's been waiting all along to break free and live the life you were meant to live. The world tells you that you need others to feel complete, that you're not enough on your own. It pushes the idea that you need to constantly surround yourself with people, with distractions, with noise, to feel valuable. But let me tell you something, you are your best company. There's power in learning to be comfortable with yourself and spending time with no one but you. When you stop seeking validation from the outside world, when you stop depending on others to fill the gaps in your life, that's when you start to realize the most important truth: you are enough. You don't need anyone else to make you whole. You are already whole, you just have to realize it. When you're constantly surrounded by people, it's easy to lose sight of who you really are. It's easy to start molding yourself into something you think others want you to be. You lose your authenticity, your true self, by trying to fit into everyone else's idea of who you should be. But when you're alone, when it's just you, you can finally breathe. You don't have to be anything for anyone. You can simply be who you are in your purest form. And that's when you start to realize that the most valuable relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. People will come and go in your life, and they will try to influence you, to guide you, or even to define you. But the truth is, the only person who will always be there, the one you can always count on, is yourself. You have to learn to trust yourself, to be your own biggest supporter, your own biggest fan. Don't rely on others to give you the confidence you need. Don't wait for approval or acceptance. You've got to give that to yourself first. Being your own best company means being your own source of motivation. It means finding peace and strength within yourself without needing anyone else to fill that role. You have to stop depending on external factors to define your worth. Your value isn't based on who's around you or who's supporting you. Your value is rooted in who you are when no one else is watching, when it's just you and your thoughts, your goals, and your dreams. The real power comes from learning to stand alone, to be your own rock, your own foundation. When you're comfortable with who you are, when you're at peace with yourself, that's when you can face anything life throws your way. Because no matter what happens, you know you've got you, you are your best company. And once you fully embrace that, you unlock a strength that no one can ever take away from you. Life has a way of throwing challenges at you. There are moments when you're going to feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. You'll encounter situations that will test your patience, your faith, your resilience. People will disappoint you, life will knock you down, and sometimes it will feel like there's no way out. But here's the thing, your true strength comes from facing yourself in those moments. It's easy to point the finger when things go wrong, to blame everyone else for your struggles. It's easy to play the victim, to tell yourself that your problems are caused by the people around you or by circumstances beyond your control. But the real growth happens when you stop running from yourself, when you stop blaming others and start looking inward. Facing yourself means acknowledging your own role in your challenges, your own part in your failures. And in doing so, you gain the power to change, to grow, and to overcome. The truth is, we all have flaws, we all have weaknesses. And yes, we all make mistakes. But you'll never become stronger if you're constantly avoiding those truths. You'll never improve if you refuse to look at yourself honestly and face the things you need to fix. Strength doesn't come from ignoring your flaws or pretending you're perfect. It comes from staring them down, accepting them, and deciding that you're going to be better than they are. It's about taking ownership of your life, of your actions, and of your future. When you face yourself, when you stop running from your mistakes and your shortcomings, you open the door to real change. You stop waiting for someone else to come and fix your problems, to tell you what to do, or to lift you up when you fall. You realize that you have everything you need inside of you to rise above your circumstances. It's not about the situation you're in, it's about how you react to it. And the way to react powerfully is by first facing the person looking back at you in the mirror. Facing yourself means having the courage to admit when you're wrong, to take responsibility for your actions, and to stop making excuses. It means being vulnerable enough to look at your fears and insecurities head on without running away from them. But in that vulnerability, in that honesty, is where you find the strength to change, to grow, and to rise above the things that have held you back. You can't conquer what you refuse to face. You can't become the person you were meant to be if you're too scared to look at who you really are. But when you face yourself with all your imperfections, all your mistakes, and all your fears, you gain the power to transform into something greater. It's not about being perfect. It's about being real. And when you get real with yourself, you'll realize that the power to change your life, to overcome any obstacle, has always been inside of you. Too many people in this world are looking for someone else to tell them who they are. They're waiting for validation from others, seeking approval, looking for someone to hand them the blueprint for their life. But let me tell you something, no one can define you but you. The world is full of opinions. It's full of voices that will try to tell you who you should be, what you should want, and how you should live your life. But none of those voices matter. The only opinion that counts is the one you have of yourself. You don't need anyone else's permission to be who you were meant to be. You don't need anyone to tell you your worth. Your worth is inherent, and it's something you decide, not something someone else can hand you. You're not defined by your past, your mistakes, or the labels other people try to put on you. You're not defined by the circumstances you were born into or the opinions people have about your potential. You are defined by your own actions, your own decisions, and your own commitment to becoming the person you choose to be. People will try to box you in. They'll try to tell you where you belong and what you're capable of. But if you listen to that, if you let their words control your sense of self, you're giving away your power. You're letting someone else dictate your future. You're letting someone else decide what's possible for you. And that's not how it works. You don't need anyone's permission to dream big. You don't need anyone's validation to go after your goals. You are the author of your own story. No one else can write your chapters. Sure, There will be people who try to steer you in the wrong direction, people who will discourage you or tell you it's impossible. But that's where your strength comes in. When you refuse to let other people's limited perceptions of you define your reality, that's when you begin to take control of your own life. Every time someone tells you what you can't do, you've got to look them dead in the eye and say, "I'll show you what I can do." When they tell you you're not good enough, you've got to say, "I define my worth, not you." No one can take away your power unless you let them. When you take full ownership of who you are and stop letting others define you, that's when you step into your true power. That's when you realize that the only limits that exist are the ones you place on yourself. So stop waiting for someone to tell you what you're capable of. Stop waiting for someone else to give you the blueprint. You've already got everything you need within you. You've got the power to create your own path, to write your own story, and to live your own truth. Remember, no one can define you but you. And once you take hold of that power, once you believe in your own worth, no one can ever take it away from you. Too many people live their lives stuck in the past. They hold on to mistakes they made, regrets they carry, and all the things that went wrong. They let their past define them, shape them, and in many cases hold them back from moving forward. But here's the cold, hard truth: you can't build a future on yesterday. The past is just that, the past. It's over. It's done. No matter how much you think about it, no matter how many times you replay those moments in your mind, you can't change a single thing. What matters now, what truly matters, is what you do today. You have to let go of the weight of your past mistakes, your past failures, and your past hurts. Those things do not define you unless you allow them to. You can't keep dragging the baggage of yesterday into your future and expect to make progress. Every time you look back, every time you replay those negative moments, you're giving them power. You're allowing them to control your present and sabotage your future. But you have to understand something: the past does not have to determine your future. The past is a lesson, a teacher, but it is not your destination. Your future is built on what you do now, on the choices you make today, on the actions you take moving forward. It's not about forgetting the past, it's about learning from it. You've made mistakes, we all have. You've been hurt, we all have. But that doesn't mean you have to carry that pain with you forever. You don't have to keep reliving your failures. You don't have to keep wearing your scars like a badge of honor. Instead, wear them as a reminder that you've overcome, that you've survived, that you've learned and you've grown. Your future is an open road. It's waiting for you to step into it with both feet planted firmly in the present. But you can't step into that future if you're still standing in the shadow of the past. It's time to let go of everything that's been holding you back. It's time to leave behind the stories that no longer serve you, the mistakes you can't undo, the pain you can't erase. You've got to stop letting yesterday control your tomorrow. You have the power right now to rewrite your story. You have the power to start fresh, to take the lessons of the past and turn them into strength, into wisdom, and into fuel to drive you forward. The only way to build the future you want is to stop living in the past. Take what you've learned, let go of the hurt, and use today to lay the foundation for the tomorrow you deserve. The future is in your hands, but only if you're willing to let go of yesterday and step boldly into what's next. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants the rewards that come with it, the fame, the money, the recognition. But here's where the truth lies: the real work, the stuff that separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't, happens when no one's watching. Success isn't about what you can show off to the world. It's not about posting your achievements on social media or waiting for applause from others. Success is built in the quiet moments, the ones where no one is there to see your effort, to praise you, or to tell you you're doing great. It's about what you do when the spotlight's not on you, when you're not getting the credit, and when there's no one to cheer you on. That's where your character is tested. That's where your true strength is built. Most people are motivated by external rewards. They want the promotion, the recognition, the likes, the applause. But the ones who really succeed, the ones who leave a lasting impact, are the ones who do the work even when they're alone, even when there's no one to see it. They keep grinding day in and day out because they know the truth: the work you put in when no one's watching is what pays off in the long run. It's easy to work hard when people are paying attention, when the cameras are rolling, when there's something to prove. But that's not where greatness is forged. Greatness is forged in the moments where you push yourself even when no one else is pushing you. It's in those early mornings, those late nights, those times when no one is there to tell you that you're on the right path. It's the hours you spend practicing, learning, and improving when no one's watching. The world only sees the results. It sees the success, the trophy, the win. But it doesn't see the pain, the failures, the setbacks, or the lonely hours spent doing what no one else is willing to do. The real work happens in the darkness. When you keep showing up when no one's looking, when you're doing the grind in silence, because you know that your efforts will speak louder than anything else. And it's that consistency, that commitment to the process that separates the winners from the rest. You can't take shortcuts to success. You can't fake the hustle. The real work is in the blood, sweat, and tears that no one else sees. It's in the sacrifices you make, the things you give up, the discipline you show when everyone else is out partying or resting. It's what you do when you're alone, when no one is there to hold you accountable. That determines how far you'll go. So remember, this success isn't built on a few moments of glory. It's built on the consistent effort you put in when no one else is around to watch. It's the work you do in private, the struggle you face in solitude, that determines whether you'll make it or not. Keep working, keep pushing, keep striving even when no one else is paying attention, because that's where the real progress is made. That's where you build the foundation for everything you're going to achieve. And when the world finally sees your success, it'll be clear that you put in the work, even when no one was looking. Make no mistake about it, life will test you. It's not a matter of if, but when. You'll face situations that challenge your limits, push you to your breaking point, and force you to question everything you thought you knew. And in those moments, you'll have two choices: you can fold, or you can rise. The test isn't about the easy wins. It's not about the smooth paths or the comfortable days. The real test comes when you're up against the wall, when things get tough, and when the odds are stacked against you. That's when the true measure of who you are will show up. Anyone can show up and do the work when the conditions are perfect. But the ones who truly succeed, the ones who break through to the next level, are the ones who rise when the test is hardest. Think about it, every great achievement, every success story is the result of someone who was tested, who faced adversity, and who didn't give up when it would have been easier to walk away. The strongest people are the ones who get knocked down, who get told no, who face rejection and failure, but get back up, dust themselves off, and keep going. They understand that the test is part of the process. You can't avoid the tests. They'll come whether you're ready or not. But the test isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. Every test is an opportunity to prove your strength, to show the world what you're made of, and to become the person you were meant to be. The pain, the struggle, the challenges, those are the moments that shape you. They push you beyond what you thought was possible, and in doing so, they reveal your true potential. When life tests you, when it throws obstacles in your path, it's easy to want to quit. It's easy to look at the mountain in front of you and say, this is too much. I can't do it, but the test isn't meant to break you. It's meant to build you. You don't become stronger by avoiding challenges. You become stronger by facing them head on. It's like lifting weights. You don't get stronger by picking up light weights every day. You get stronger by pushing yourself, by increasing the weight, by testing your limits. The same goes for life. Every time you face a test and push through it, you become stronger. Every time you overcome an obstacle, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you ever thought possible. But here's the key: you're not going to be tested once and then be done. Tests will keep coming. Life will keep throwing challenges your way, and you've got to be ready to face them every single time. It's not about getting through one test, it's about how you respond to each test that will define who you are. Each test is an opportunity for growth, for transformation, and for progress. So when life tests you, when it pushes you to the edge, when it feels like everything is falling apart, don't back down. Stand tall. Rise to the challenge. Show life that you can take whatever it throws your way, because you are capable. You have the strength inside you to overcome anything. The test is only temporary. The strength you gain from passing it will last a lifetime. There's no more waiting. There's no more putting things off. Your time is now. You don't have the luxury of waiting for the perfect moment or waiting for the stars to align. You don't have time to sit around and wonder if you're good enough, if you're ready, or if the world is going to give you permission to go after what you want. The time is now. Too many people get stuck in the waiting phase of life. They wait for the right circumstances. They wait for the right opportunity. They wait for the right people to come into their lives. But here's the thing, life doesn't wait for you. Time doesn't stop for anyone. The world keeps turning, and if you don't act, if you don't take the opportunity that's right in front of you, you'll miss it. You have to understand something: the future isn't a guarantee. There's no promise that tomorrow will come, no promise that you'll have more time to figure things out. If you want something, if you have a dream, a goal, a vision, you have to go after it now. Today is the only day you have for sure, and it's the only time you can control. The longer you wait, the more time you waste, and the more you lose out on what you could have accomplished. People always think they have more time, that there's no rush, that they can always push their goals to tomorrow. But the truth is, the longer you wait, the more you're delaying your potential. Your dreams aren't going to come to you on their own. You have to go out there and get them. You have to be relentless. You have to take the first step, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if you don't have all the answers. Start where you are with what you have and build from there. This is your moment. You have everything you need inside you to make it happen right now. Don't wait for a sign. Don't wait for someone to tell you it's your time. Your time is now. The world is waiting for you to show up and do the work. It's waiting for you to take your shot. If you don't act, someone else will. If you don't go after what you want, someone else will. But you have to believe that this moment, this time is yours to seize. The world doesn't owe you anything. What you create is what you take. You have to decide to stop sitting on the sidelines and waiting for the perfect opportunity. That opportunity is already here, right in front of you. The only thing standing between you and your future is the decision to move. So make the decision, make it right now. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for someone to believe in you. Believe in yourself. Take action. Do the work. Make it happen. Your time is now. Embrace being stronger alone. Your best self is waiting for you in the silence.